Okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Since the new students will be moving in for the next semester here in about a week, I thought I would talk about some of the most important things that you should know before studying abroad in Japan. It'll be a mix of both specific stuff for my school, Kansai Gaidai, but also just general pointers that I have observed throughout my time studying abroad here. So without further ado, here are 15 things you should know before studying abroad in Japan. All right, first is going to be your visa/residence card. This is a very, very important item. As most of you have already done, I'm sure you have your visa, but something that you will receive at immigration when you first arrive here is going to be your residence card. Carry this with you at all times. The police here are allowed to stop and ask you for your ID at any point in time, and it is illegal as a foreign student to not carry it with you. So I just have it in my wallet, and I carry my wallet with me wherever I go. Simple as that. Second is going to be esim, or cellular service. I use Sakura Mobile, which is just a phone company here in Japan. I signed up before I came here. I have about 25 to 30 gigs of data a month, I think, and I pay that monthly. I would highly recommend you get it before you come, just so you can have it all sorted out. And I would do some research as to which plan is going to suit you best. I think I pay around $40 to $45, maybe a little less. Next up is cash and card. Japan is still a country that does a lot of transactions in business in cash. Because of that, I would recommend you carry cash pretty much anytime you go out too, unless you're going to a store you know takes card. For example, the pharmacy and local convenience stores here, I know I can pay with my phone, so I usually won't bring cash with me. Anytime I'm going to someplace new, I'm making sure to bring at least 2,000 to 3,000 yen with me. I would recommend that you take out cash before you come here because there are ATM withdrawal fees and it just tends to be just a little more expensive. So it's also nice to have some cash in hand when you land. Next up is IC cards and transport cards. As many of you maybe know, there are these things called Suica or Ioka cards, which are basically like the transit cards here in Japan. You can buy physical ones, but the easiest way is to just add it straight to your Apple Wallet. You can do so by adding it just like any other normal card, and it can be refilled at any time. Okay, next up, this is specific to Global Commons Yui on Kansai Gaidai. The rooms here are very comfortable. They're a little small, but there's kind of a charm to them, honestly. I didn't feel like they were too small. Just be wary of what kind of luggage you're bringing. There are 2 big drawers under the bed, and I was able to fit both of my large suitcases by like putting them inside of each other. But Kansai Gaidai also offers a seminar house, which is a communal living space that is a little more focused on speaking Japanese. Both of these are off of campus from where you'll be taking classes. So it's about a 15-minute walk every day, or about a 10-minute bike ride if you happen to get a bike. Come prepared to sort your trash and clean up after yourself. Doesn't feel like I should say this, but there were situations last semester where people aren't cleaning up after themselves, especially in the kitchen. The kitchen is the main communal space aside from the bathrooms. So unless you're buying your own pots, pans, utensils, cups, and that kind of stuff, you're going to be using the communal ones. So, clean up after yourself. We don't have a garbage disposal, so that means that there's a little blue net in the sink that you have to change when it fills up. You also have to be really good about sorting your trash. And if you don't sort your trash correctly, then the cleaning people who take the trash out will leave the trash bag in your kitchen. Then you're stuck with an extra trash bag for the next week. Holy shit, I'm hot. Convenience stores are lifesavers. Everybody knows this. I got this sweat rag from Lawson, and it's amazing. You can get cheap lunches. You can pay your bills. What can you do? You can send luggage, you can pick up packages, you can buy tickets for concerts. You can do a lot of stuff at convenience stores, like a lot more than you see online, which is already a lot. In relation to Kansai Gaidai, there are 3 really close by. No matter which direction you're walking, you'll have a convenience store to go to. There's a Lawson, a Family Mart, and a 7-Eleven on campus, so you kind of got it all. We're very lucky. Next is bikes and trains. I bought my own bike for about 9,000 yen at a local bike store. I don't know if it's necessarily required for someone who's only going to be staying a semester. I didn't use it a ton, and even with my bike, I still opted to walk to school some days because it's still a bit of a hassle to find the parking lot for the bikes. So yeah, I don't know if there's a bike rental system per se. Somebody asked that. At least in this area, we don't really have like the Lime scooters. They have them in Osaka, but not so much here. I would ask around, see if anybody's selling a bike. Maybe you can get a cheap used one. That's what I did. And then with trains, they're very useful. There are 2 train stations that are close to us. There is Gotenyama Station, which is a local train station, and then Hirakata, which is the bigger train station where you can hop on the limited express and the faster trains. Just come prepared by knowing the train etiquette, no taking phone calls on trains, no eating on trains, no being loud on trains. Just be quiet and keep to yourself, and you'll probably be within the norms. It's really not that hard. Cultural expectations that I want to set for everybody: politeness and social harmony, you could say, are very, very important here. That's meaning, don't stick out too much, don't make a big deal. It's very different than the West, very different than America. A lot of people may not like that initially. It may feel kind of oppressive. Me personally, I'm a bit introverted, so I actually don't mind just kind of going with the crowd. But this also goes for interpersonal relations. Japanese people are very non-confrontational. And so that's just something to keep in mind with your Japanese friends. If you start dating someone Japanese, all that stuff is just very different than, America per se. The seasonal culture in Japan is very strong. Each season is very distinct here. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do a year, is because I wanted to experience each of those seasonal cultures, you could say. The winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall are all very different. So right now it's summer. It's stupid hot and humid. But with that also comes summer festivals, Hanabi Taikai, like the firework festivals. There's a lot of fun activities going on in the summer that don't happen any other time of year. So that being said, if you're studying from August to December, your study abroad will feel very different than someone who's studying abroad from January to June. Even if you're at the same school, doing the same thing, the culture and the vibe can change a lot. If you're coming right now, it's going to be very hot. So just ready yourself for that. At least in Hirakata, it's like 95 every day, plus at least 40% humidity. I don't know why I'm standing directly in the sun, but I wanted to record this video now, and I didn't want to wait, and it's like 1 p.m. right now, so not the best time for the lighting, but that's okay. Oh, I also wrote down gift giving. Gift giving is a big thing here, but not in big gestures. There's something called omiyage, which are basically like travel gifts. If you go to Tokyo, for example, it's very common to buy a box called omiyage, which are usually like regional snacks or candies, and then bring them back to your floor mates, to your RA, teachers. It's a little gesture that goes a long way here. And it's something that people tend to forget sometimes, like the fact that there is a dedicated culture surrounding travel gifts. So now you know. Again, for Kansai Gaidai specifically, in regards to the class structure, I think most of the people coming have already registered for classes. That being said, when you get here during your week of orientation, you're going to be taking a Japanese placement test, and that's going to determine which Japanese class you're in. I would brush up on your Japanese a little bit. When I came and took this test, I had not studied up on what the different names for grammar points were. So I got a much worse score on the placement test than I should have, because I didn't know what volitional form meant. Even though I actually knew the grammar for it, I didn't know what it was called in English. So that's just something to be aware of, something that can catch you off guard. It's not serious, it's not too hard. Just come prepared to take that placement test if it's something you're worried about or you want to make sure you get into a high-level Japanese class. Aside from that, the general class difficulty can really vary from teacher to teacher, class to class. My classes are pretty easy last semester, but I also took a lot of art, history style classes. I had some friends in some cultural, like economic classes that were not so easy. The minimum required amount of units is 14, which is 4 classes, including Japanese. I recommend you take only 14 units. Last semester, I had a whole free day open on Tuesdays. And so it's nice to be able to have that extra time to explore, to hang out with friends. I mean, that's kind of half the reason you're here, is to go explore Osaka, to go hang out with friends, right? So you don't want to spend all your time swamped in classwork. You're going to regret it, and I know that for a fact. So if you can help it, take less classes and leave some more time for yourself to explore. And you have a week or 2 to change things around, so no sweat if you already signed up for a lot. No sweat, as I'm literally dying of sweat. Making Japanese friends is going to be best way for you to improve your Japanese for real. The classes here aren't bad, but you're also not going to be speaking fluently by the end of a Japanese class here. They teach it very textbook. You follow Genki. So it's not really teaching you the local language, slang. You're not really learning that stuff until maybe Japanese 5. The people here are very kind. A lot of the Japanese people want to practice English. They want somebody to exchange language with, especially on this campus. You'll see a lot of students walking around. If you just go up and strike up a conversation with them, I'm sure they will be happy to talk. I'm very happy and very lucky to have made some pretty close Japanese friends here. And that's kind of been the most effective way to really practice Japanese. I mean, that's how you're going to remember stuff and how you're going to really learn. Especially in UE, most of the student population is either from the US or European country or an English-speaking country. So I found myself speaking English in these dorms a majority of the time. This is by far the best accommodation you can have at Kansai Gaidai, so I wouldn't recommend another one just because of that. But it just means that you have to put in that extra effort to be speaking Japanese, to be practicing what you're learning in your classes, whether that's with your RAs, with the friends you've made on campus. It takes a conscious effort to kind of implement what you're using, which I'll admit is hard. There have been weeks where I don't really speak much Japanese, especially during the summer where I'm just in my room. It's hard to be fully immersed sometimes in this dorm, but that's okay. It just means you have to go out there and talk to the many, many, many Japanese students in this area. Student events and socializing events. I would highly recommend that you go to all of the events that interest you in the first 2 weeks, at least. That's when you're gonna meet new people. That's when you're gonna connect with friends. That's when everybody's very open and equally excited, equally nervous, equally anxious. So that's kind of the best time to make friends. It can get a little cliquey here. It is a small school. So I'm not saying that to scare anybody or say, if you don't make friends in the first 2 weeks, you're never gonna have friends. But it's just something to be wary of. In general, the first 2 weeks are really the best time to make those connections. My friends like Michael, I met Michael in the first 2 days and he was like my best friend for the whole trip. So very important stuff to just keep in mind. There are clubs and circles at Kansai Gaidai, but it can be a little tricky sometimes because if you don't already know, clubs are usually taken very seriously in Japanese culture. So if you wanted to join something, it would probably be a circle. I managed to join the Kendo club, but that also required me to purchase gear and have a bit more commitment to it, right? So there are a good amount of circles just based off of interests that you can join. And that's also a really good way to make friends. Last but not least are baitos or part-time jobs. You are allowed to work a part-time job as a foreign student, but as far as I know, you just need to get a permission to engage in activity other than that permitted. So you basically just need to get a permission form from immigration or the city hall saying that you are allowed to work. If you don't have that kind of confirmation, then it is illegal to work with just a student visa. So that's something to be aware of. But that being said, if you're only here for a semester and you've saved up a good amount of money, I would advise against getting a part-time job. I think unless you're here for a year and you really need the money, you should spend your time exploring, hanging out. Working a job is a really good way to practice your Japanese, that's for sure, but I think there are probably more interesting and more memorable ways than working at a 7-Eleven. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on kind of my experience with culture shock. The first month, the first 2 weeks here is 100% like the honeymoon phase. It goes by so fast. Everything is new. Every smell, every sound, everything is new. But after that, I don't know, it's different for everybody. I kind of experienced some homesickness once the initial rush died off. But after a while, the homesickness kind of turns into adjustment as you realize you're kind of adapting to the culture around you. And once you kind of realize that you've successfully, assimilated in a way to the culture, there is a level of acceptance, a level of pride that you were able to successfully do it. There will be ups, there will be downs, but I'm so excited for all of you who are planning to come to Japan. If you're coming to Kansai Gaidai and you see me around, don't be afraid to stop and say hi. I'm nice. And if you're not coming to Kansai Gaidai, let me know in the comments where you're going to be studying. I'm very curious to kind of see where my followers will be located in Japan this fall. Okay, so my camera actually proceeded to overheat after that final portion there. That's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was helpful for some of you who are coming to Japan, coming to Kansai Gaidai specifically. I'm really excited for the fall semester. There's a lot to look forward to. In the fall and winter seasons here, the autumn colors, the trees all turn this crazy red and orange. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. If you have any more questions or you want me to explain something in more detail, I respond to comments. So shoot me a question down there or contact me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. It is in the description. But yeah, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, leave a like, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.